This is Gallery Blue Door. Thank you for being here and seeing this beautiful body of work. We're featuring today Tracy Lambros. This is the body of work that's titled Transcend. And most of this work was done, I think all of this work was done in 2020 under quarantine circumstances from her studio on Hooper's Island. Now, Tracy lives and works in Baltimore and Hooper's Island, but she has a studio on Hooper's Island, and she gets some beautiful views of the bay and all of the surrounding geography, and it inspires her work. But some other notes about Tracy that I want to share with you is she works in the medium of oil, and a lot of her, if not all of the work that you see here today will be, evokes the idea of land, sea, and air. This is her second exhibition with Gallery Blue Door. Her first one was a knockout, beautiful work. Many collectors went home with pieces, and it was just a wonderful success. And fortunately, we were able to do it in person. Unfortunately, now we have to do it through video, but this is almost just as good. Plus, you get to kick your feet up and sit in a comfortable chair and let me do all the work. Tracy's work has been exhibited internationally and nationally. She has been invited to galleries. Her work has been in solo shows and also in juried shows. She won the the Purchase Prize by Circle Gallery, and she last year was accepted for 19 from the First Street Gallery in New York City. Quite an honor. Tracy has an MFA and a BFA in photography from the Maryland Institute College of Art here in Maryland. And I want to just turn the microphone over to Tracy really quick and allow her to say a few words to you. We're just so happy to have her with us here. The work is beautiful. I'm going to tour you on it here soon. And along the way, if you have any questions for Tracy or for me, but Tracy's the expert, you can just ask those questions and she'll give you a little bit of background. I'll be talking about the work along the way. So it's interactive. You can sit back and watch, or you can ask questions. The other thing that I'll encourage you to do is pin your video. If you don't know how to pin it, I'll run you through it real quick. But up in the top of the video you're watching right now, you will see a little box with some dots in it. And if you go up and click that open and come down to pin, you can pin it. And that way, no matter who is talking, you'll be able to see the art. Otherwise, your Zoom display will concentrate on who's talking, and it'll go between the art and the person speaking. So that's your Zoom lesson for today. And with that, Tracy, I want to turn it over to you and have you welcome all these folks from around the world and just say a few words, if you would.
Thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate it. And I'm delighted to be back at Gallery Blue Door again. Our first collaboration in 2019 was wonderful, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm so happy to be back. And I love the improvements to the gallery that you've made, your renovations, really terrific. And I want to thank everybody who is showing up for this video reception. This is new for me. The first time I've had a gallery reception where I'm wearing my fluffy slippers. So, but thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. And if you have a cocktail or a beverage, please raise a glass. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. And I want to say a shout out to some of my friends from Portugal, from Texas, from Asheville, from Atlanta, from South Carolina, from Baton Rouge, from Donaldsonville, Louisiana, and all my friends here in Baltimore. And I think we'll be having some of my MICA friends, MICA alums as well. But I just want to thank everybody for coming, and I hope you enjoy seeing my new work. Thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you, Tracy. And thank you for the compliments of the gallery. We are working on it every day. Now we're going to get started here. This is that point in the program where we're making the transition. And today we are lucky that, there we go. We have our Tyler, our son, is the cameraman today, and we're going to continue on now to the first piece and start the show. Now, one of the things about Tracy's work is she has a lifelong passion for nature, and a lot of people on the call here today know that about Tracy, that she's very connected to nature. And so with that, you'll see that evoked in many of these paintings today. These are all on oil. And I know that the camera is reflecting back a little bit of a highlight. We're going to try to zoom in to certain areas to where you can see the texture and the beauty of these pieces. And the highlights we'll try to minimize as much as we can. Now, this first piece, quite beautiful. This is Mirage, and this is 26 by 26. It's from 2020. All of these paintings are from 2020. This is oil and gold bronze pigments on panel. This is priced at $4,500. We're going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see the rich detail. There's a lot of texture here. The play with the pigments, this bronze and gold, really comes through. You can see, especially right here in the center. I'm going to get my pointer. I want to make sure you all know that I will never touch these. These are beautiful pieces of art. But right here in the center, you can just see how the texture of that bronze is popping through. In the background, we have gold. And when I see this, I kind of just get taken back to a fuzzy morning, like the morning is just starting, and there's maybe just a fog, a heavy mist, and you're looking off in the distance. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. This is quite a beautiful piece. But you may see something entirely different. And up above is just a gorgeous skyline with oranges, hints of pink, almost like a dusty rose in the background. Now, if you come over here.
Is it possible to make the picture bigger? In other words, out here, we're seeing all the pictures of the attendees and the picture of the painting.
Yeah.
Just
I know.
one little square.
Okay, I hear you. So again, I want you to pin your video. Now, the way you do that is if you should see the big picture of the painting now, and up in the upper right-hand corner, you will see a little thing that has ... And if you click on that, the drop-down menu will open up and it'll say pin. And if you pin me while I'm talking, you'll see this artwork that will hold this image for you. And every time I move around, you'll just see pieces of art and you won't see people. So try that. If you haven't got it pinned, let's do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that doesn't seem to work.
Okay.
Up in the right-hand corner, it says view.
Okay. Well, just keep playing around with it, but we're going to move on here to speaker view up in the upper right corner. Oh, and you can also try speaker view up in the upper right-hand corner instead of gallery.
Okay.
Okay, so try that. And thank you, because
perfect.
Well, there you go. You have probably helped 4 other people or 10 other people on this call, because dealing with Zoom is not easy.
Hi, Robbie.
I want to thank Jay for her little message in regards to that.
Oh, Jay, yeah, thank you, Jay. You're helping us all make sure everybody's pinned.
I spend my life on Zoom now, so.
You're a Zoom expert.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, Tracy.
Okay.
Hello from sunny
Hi,
Arizona.
Robbie. Hi, Barbara. Hi, David.
Hi.
Good to see you, Jay.
All right, we're going to move on here to the next piece. Now, this next piece is called Bittersweet Dawn. It's 26 inches by 26 inches. This is oil and gold bronze pigments on panel as well. And this is priced at $4,500. Okay, and again, I apologize for the highlight, but as we have this extended view, I want you to just take note of the brilliant sky and how the blues, this baby blue, is just popping through. Some dramatic rose, lovely rose. It's evocative of a beautiful sunset. And these higher clouds come down to these lower strata clouds here. and then it touches into the landscape. So this is a beautiful piece. And at the bottom, or toward the bottom, you see that we have these lovely little splashes of flowers looking back at you with some bright, punchy colors coming through, emeralds coming through, some mauves coming through. One of my favorite pieces, or parts of this piece rather, is just this lovely, gorgeous splash of color popping out. And you see a lot of more of those pops over here. Okay, now this is Bittersweet Dawn. Now, along the way, if you have any questions, you can do two things. You can email us at gallerybluedoor@gmail.com, or you can just send a chat to my husband, Scott, who is the master controls operator here. And he is one letting you in. He is the one that is managing the texts. He's our director and also the admin for the internet platform. Okay, so moving on now to this next piece. And this is Wetlands Twilight. This is 36 inches by 36 inches. It's oil, gold, and bronze pigments on canvas. And this is priced at $6,500. Now, what's really nice about this piece is if you allow your eyes to travel the wispiness of these clouds, just so beautiful how you can almost feel the wind carrying these clouds. And over here in the background, the blue sky popping through. And as you come down from the higher clouds, you get down to the clouds lower toward the horizon, and the horizon's sunset or sunrise colors coming through. Now there's some vertical indicators along that may be reminiscent of structures in the distance, or trees, or maybe posts, but it's just a beautiful, dreamy landscape. This selection was featured in the Deck the Walls 2020 Holiday Special Selection of the Vanity Fair in the UK. So this was featured in Vanity Fair, the magazine in the UK in 2020.
Now, I would love to point out that most of her paintings in this exhibit, as a matter of fact, I would say all of them, and her work in general, is very in the expressionist style, but overall it feels to me that some of these pieces almost feel like they've been meditated into existence. There's such a tranquility and a peacefulness. The story that is told just feels like it's just brought into life. It's the spirit of the place. And I would say that is generally the way that Tracy works. She looks at a place, but doesn't try to specifically capture those things. She more captures the spirit and the way that it holds on to her afterwards. And I'll go more into that as you see more of these pieces, but this is a great way to start that.
Right. Yeah. Meditative piece, I think, comes through. Okay. I want to also point out that all of these paintings in the show, most of this work, and I believe, Tracy, you can correct me, I think all of it was done in 2020 under quarantine conditions. And this was mostly done looking west from your home studio, your home and studio, I should say, rather, at Hooper's Island on Tar Bay, and you're looking at Tar Bay in the Barren Islands, if I get that right. Is that correct?
It's that's correct. However, there are several that are from a few that are from 2019, and I actually snuck a few pieces in that Scott liked that were more inspired by a trip to Hawaii that I took with my dear friend Jackie. So there are a few from 2019, and a few of them also inspired by Hooper's Island. But yes, generally Hooper's Island, Tar Bay, the Chesapeake Bay region in general, Blackwater Wildlife Refuge are inspirations for me. But I do work from my studio. I'm not a plein air painter. I work basically from my imagination. That's how I enjoy working. It's more challenging for me, and I just enjoy that improvisational process, and just letting the painting go where it will, rather than you know, when you work from nature, you have something there to you have material. When you work from your imagination, it's a whole different process. You really are starting from scratch, and you're making it up as you go. And I truly enjoy that process.
Sure, sure. And that comes through. You can just really see that imagination. Now, we're moving on to our next one here. This is Sky Bliss, 36 inches by 36 inches. This is oil, gold, and bronze pigments on canvas, priced at $6,500. This is my favorite. There's a lot of favorites here, but I love this one here just because of the richness of color, the texture that you see at the base of the painting, where you have these turquoise and the lime green coming through, muted tones intermixed with clear defined swirls. And then down here, this detail is so just, it captivates, pulling you in because of this rich detail here of blue and turquoise, how it all comes together. As your eye travels upward, almost as if you're looking at a horizon here again. And again, looking further into the sky as the sky begins to break into blue elements, but yet this carryover of what appears to be that sunrise or sunset, just those colors and how they intermingle together. Really a beautiful piece here. And this is Sky Bliss. Now, I want to point out that for all of these, they are on a canvas that's about 2 inches thick. And maybe if you can notice over here with this, and I'm just going to use this as a guide. Here's my finger in comparison. I'm not touching the work at all, but you can see it's about 2 inches. So this will stand alone easily as it's portrayed here in the gallery, but it can also be put into a beautiful frame. This would look really lovely with a minimalist frame around it, or even a bold frame. And we'll move on now to Sky Rapture. And along the way, if anybody has any questions, you can just interrupt me by taking yourself off mute. I talk a lot. I'm a lawyer in my past life, so I do that a lot. But you can take yourself off mute and ask a question, and Tracy will be happy to answer it for you. This is Sky Rapture, again, 36 inches by 36 inches. This is oil, gold, and bronze pigments on canvas, priced at $6,500. Lots of beautiful pink rose tones coming through, and the citrus punch here in the center, and it carries over here as well and to the left side. Really a depth. There's a lot of depth in this, because as you see these clouds in the foreground, you can peek through to what appears to be an overcast sky in the center. We come down even further, and then we start to get the imagination of the bay, the waves of the bay, so captured so beautifully here with these lovely just wisps of movement, almost as if you're looking at the bay. Now, this is the front, the what we call main gallery of Gallery Blue Door. We're going to go ahead and head on down the hall. And so we'll go ahead and just slowly turn this way. And again, if you have any questions, if you're interested in a purchase, all you have to do is email us at gallerybluedoor@gmail.com. You can also send a message to the administrator on the chat there in your Zoom chat box. Now, This beautiful piece is a little bit smaller than the ones. This is Rainmaker, 24 inches by 24 inches. This is oil on canvas, and it's priced at $4,000. And as we stand off from this, looking at it, we can see that rain just coming down. We all have seen that before, whether you're looking out over a body of water and that rain is just pouring down. We can also see it on land, and we see it in the distance. If we're on a highway, we see that rain just coming down. Now, Tracy's captured this so well. And then the translucence of the bright sky behind it, all of it just portraying a depth to it. So there's a lot of depth in this one as well. There is a lovely imagination used here where you could be looking at a landscape or you could be looking at the bay. And you really just see the detail of little wavelets combining with the turbulence of this downpour. Now, again, we look at the color used here, and there is some really deep green, forest green here, and lovely, rich blues, navy blue brought in, and just really pops out at you with these little splashes of color. We see mauves here. This is a gorgeous piece.
I'd like to add that with this piece, I would find that I haven't seen any piece in our gallery of Tracy's that quite captures a rainfall this way. And
Right.
there's something quite unique and special about it, where the sunrise or sunset is coming through the rain and the clouds and then the ocean. There's a unique element here that I hope that people appreciate as much as I do.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. It is quite unique. And you're right. I don't think I've seen a rainstorm captured so well.
Now,
Now we're
I'd
moving
also
on.
like to, you feel free to move on to that piece, but I'd also like to point out that J.M.W. Turner, the English Romantic painter, Tracy's focus as a painter is, like him, is to capture what a location looks like. It's not to capture what a location looks like, but to capture its spirit, like I mentioned before, and what she feels from the place and how her memory of that spirit sticks with her. And like what Turner said about his work, let me think. I think he said, my business to paint what I see, not what I know is there. And I would say that can be said for Tracy and her work as well. And it's quite obvious in a lot of these pieces. And if you go back to J.M.W. Turner's work and look at some of this, you can certainly see parallels.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
Thank
So we're
you.
moving on now to, this is clearing through mauve mist. Now this is 4 inches by 4 inches, the actual work itself, but 10 inches by 10 inches in the frame. This is oil and gold and bronze pigments on canvas. It's priced at $380. These are smaller, more intimate pieces, and these pull you in. There's a few of these, and they're all little treasures. They just pull you in. The detail is amazing. I want to just get in here. Now, apologize in advance. These are behind glass, and that's nice because it gives a nice protection for these little treasures. So, you know, pardon the reflection of me and my pointer and the glare. But as you see in here, the detail is just amazing. Some vertical structures there, possibly maybe some buildings or the remnants of a fence in the distance. In the foreground, you have the earth and maybe some wavy fields dying off for winter, fall. And then a beautiful turbulent sky, lots of imagination here. And the texture on this little piece just sticks out. You can just feel it punching through. And again, this is 10 inches by 10 inches in the frame. The frame is probably about a good ½ inch. I'm not touching the work at all, but it's probably about 3/4 of an inch, ½ inch in depth. It's ready to go framed like it is. This would be wonderful for a den, a study. This would be wonderful really for any place. And a couple or two or three of these together would really complement a living room, even a dining room, because they're so beautiful. They make you stop and look at them. They make you stop. They invite you. There's a few of these, so every one of them is just a little treasure. Now we're moving on now to Island Bliss 1. Again, the same format of 4 inches by 4 inches, 10 inches in the frame. And this is oil on canvas, priced at $380. And again, forgive the lighting. We have some great lighting in this gallery when you're here in person, but seeing it in video, it can be deceptive. This is just a shadow right here. Now, what's wonderful about this is we have this punchy little white cloud coming through, lovely citrus elements coming, purple, and then it just blends on down to the landscape, where we have some vertical lines in here that give you the impression of fields of maybe wheat or fields of just tall grasses, and then here in the foreground, just some beautiful earthen colors that tie it all together. This is Island Bliss 1. This is Island Bliss 2, is the next one here, 4 inches by 4 inches as well, same format with a 10 inch by 10 inch frame, priced at $380 as well. And as you can see what I'm talking about, a number of these, 2, 3, or 4 together would complement themselves in any space, really. I could even see these in a dining area, a breakfast nook. There's a really dominant dark cloud here, but beyond it, maybe it's the sun rising. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, so it could be anything you want, but it tells a story and it pulls you in. One of the fascinating things here with this piece is the layering that's happening here, and you can see these textural elements that are just coming through. I don't know if the camera is really delivering on that, but in person, there's a lot of character to these that do not show up. Also want you to be aware that I'm getting close with my pointer, but I'm not touching the art because we don't do that here at Gallery Blue Door. We point at it with a pointer. Moving on here, this is Island Bliss 3. Now, I want to remind you that if you have any questions, please just take yourself off mute and ask Tracy. If you're interested in a purchase, all you have to do is email us at gallerybluedoor@gmail.com, or you can even contact the administrator through the Zoom chat box. Same format here again. This is a 4 inch by 4 inch original piece in the center with this 10 inch by 10 inch glass frame around it. The glass helps protect it, and it looks really just so inviting. These are intimate glimpses into Tracy's imagination. And as she told you earlier, she doesn't go out there and set up an easel. These are all memories and just remembrances of her childhood and her time also on Hooper's Island. Now over here, we have the horizon in the background, highlighted with this dark streak. In the foreground, some vertical structures, reminiscent of flowers, wildflowers growing. And again, the beautiful play with clouds and how, as we see further into the distance, the sky lightens up. Gorgeous piece.
I'd like to
Okay.
add that, as stated before, these three are 1, 2, and 3, Island Bliss 1, 2, and 3, and they're hung together because of they are connected not just by their title, but certainly by theme. So they go perfect as a grouping as well. We often have, like from the previous exhibit, what resonates, collectors have taken 2 or 3 or even 4 and 6 and grouped them in this wonderful collection that really highlights, and you can move them even around as you see fit once you have them at home. But this is a perfect example of how different ones can work together.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to move on here. This is Night Bloom. Of these smaller intimate pieces, this is one that really pulls me in. Again, 4 inches by 4 inches in a 10-inch frame, glass. But as you look here, your eyes are pulled directly to the center where you have this almost burnt turquoise coloring in the center, just reminding you of flowers. And around that are these lovely lavender verticals that evoke, maybe it's iris. Now, in the background, we have distant horizon intermixing with the play of the sky. Now, this one here, because of the lighting and the camera work, I think the texture is coming up a little bit better. But every one of these little treasures has some really beautiful texturing going on as the oil has intermixed with the bronze and gold pigments. And it tells a story. Okay, now we're going to move on. And again, if you have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to unmute yourself. We're going down the main gallery hallway. If you were here, you'd see these in person and you'd know where I was talking about. But unfortunately, we have to keep it all virtual. I'll just remind folks that if you're not on mute, please mute yourself so we can keep the integrity of the program. We can keep the quality of the program nice and clean. Now this is tempestuous coast, excuse me. Oh. And this is 24 inches by 24 inches. This is oil and gold and bronze pigments on canvas. This is priced at $4,000. I'd like for you to just look at it as it is. It's really striking. The colors that are coming through. Take note down here, these really deep maroon colors just popping through. And that blending back into a sand tone that just carries over. You can definitely pick up the bronze and the gold. My husband is reminding me because it's just there. It's so beautiful. The texture is amazing. There's a lot of structure to this. On the center part, excuse me, you can see some vertical structures off in the distance. Here, there's like this blue element coming through. Are we looking at a line of trees and way off in the distance, seeing even more of blue sky? Or is it just the way the light is hitting? You don't know. Your imagination pulls you in and you want to learn more. Now, the sky represented here is really bold and quite impressive, very grand. And you can see the striations of color and how it fades off into like almost a cumulus cloud effect up here, but not white. The brilliance of a sunset and all that interplay with the sun coming in. Now, just like the ones in the main gallery, this is on a suspended canvas. It has a black border and it is about 2 inches thick, as you can see. And we're going to go over here so you can see that a little bit better. As you can see, the border is black. There's my finger just as a reference to show you. It's about 1.5 inches, maybe 1 3/4 inches thick. And it's ready to go and hang just like this. However, it would look beautiful in a frame, a minimal frame, or a bold frame. All right, so we're done looking at these that are in the main gallery. We're going to go into the cove. You can see my husband there at the master controls operator. You glimpsed him just really quickly. We're going to come into the cove of the gallery, the gray space. This is juicy, rosy sky. We're back to the smaller format of 4 inches by 4 inches in a frame of 10 inches by 10 inches. We're coming in close so you can see. And there's my, sorry about the reflection, there's my big head. I'll try to step out so you can get it. And I apologize for the glare, but that's kind of the cost of doing business with these virtual presentations, but I can tell you these are just some gorgeous pieces. And maybe what I can do is block a little bit of that light. Now this piece is really inviting with this centermost area here, where there's some brightness coming through, and a lovely oval section where you have some blue sky peeking through. And again, we're sorry about the glare, but in person, these things are amazing. These things are just so gorgeous. Now with this one as well, as we work our way down toward the lower half of it, the texture is really just amazing. So many mechanical elements just kind of coming through, just really stepping off of that canvas.
This is the gallery director, Scott, again, and I wanted to invite you all that are available to come see this exhibit in person. You're only seeing a bit of the story virtually, and the work needs to be seen in person if you have the opportunity to do so. So please come and enjoy this exhibit, because it's extraordinary online, but it is remarkable in person. So I really recommend you make an appointment to come and see this. There won't be so much glare because you'll be able to move where you need to move to see it. You're getting a little bit of a better picture of it right now, but then you're getting the hallway.
Thank you, Scott. I think we knew, just because of the nature of this, that there would be some, you know, it wouldn't be as perfect as seeing it in person is, but that's okay.
Okay, so moving on now, this is Lush Scene, and this is 26 inches by 26 inches. This is oil, gold, and bronze pigments on panel. And this is 4,500. And you can see the elements of that bronze and gold coming through here. The interplay that they have on the media just creates this lovely structure that pulls your eye in. Here at the base, we see some more almost like striation of the colors and how they all interplay, almost as if it's forming just a land, just blending into the ground. As we make our way up, we go into the distance to the background, and we can see what appears maybe to be flowers or just brush. But we make our way up even further, and you can start to see that sky. Now, the breathtaking piece about this is how this sky has taken on emerald green tones, and popping through here and there are colors of mauve and lavender. And you can see the occasional brush stroke, which highlights it even more. There's some gold that slide through here, more of a mustardy yellow, not the gold pigment, but more of that mustardy yellow color coming through, muted by the foreground colors. And this is Lush Scene.
I'd like to add to this piece and say that if you can move back there, yeah, for a moment. It feels with this piece, the drama that Tracy was able to depict in one skyscape, waterscape, the combination. The drama here is remarkable. It feels like she captured all of last year in one painting. There's such beauty in this, but it feels like, because I see the greens in the sky, that there's storm, but because of the way that it is, there's a sunset, there may be the stormy clouds, but there's gold within the darkness. It feels that there's so much depth and meaning that can be tapped into with this singular piece, that this one is one of the pieces that draws to me the most, because of all that you can see in this one painting.
Great, great, thank you. Okay, so let's move on. This is Sultry Evening. We're going back to the 4 inches by 4 inches format and a 10 by 10 glass framed. This is oil and gold and bronze pigment on canvas. It's priced at $380. And I want you to just take, we're trying to get you in there good so you can see it. It's difficult with the glare, but what is really brings you through here is this pink and rose sky that's just really so pleasant. It pulls you in. Now, as that pulls you in, you start to pick up elements in the foreground of really bright but muted colors of green. Yeah, I just don't like the way that's coming through for you. So you have no excuse now then to come into the gallery and see it yourself. We can't get it in there to where you can see those colors, how they come through. I think the video is doing it a little bit, but just not that much. But beautiful little pops coming through. Now, you may not be able to see this, but in the background, there is just some structures, some vertical structures that could be, post or could be trees, a forest, maybe just brush of some kind, but pulls in your imagination. It's very mystical, very enigmatic, making you wonder, well, what is going on here? It's so beautiful. It's almost dreamy.
On the live page on the website where you found this Zoom link, you can see the slideshow of the pieces in the order of the exhibit that we are going. So if you decided that you wanted to follow and just pause on the pieces, you could see the image digitally without the glare the way that it is here.
Scott, I wanted to add something about the previous piece called Lush Scene that you mentioned. That one was one that I really worked on for quite a long time. And I think sometimes I sort of go between different scenes, like the weather is changing, and I paint that, and the way my process sort of lends itself to changing of the light and and just the variables in the sky and the time of day. So I think that one in particular was one that really changed over time, and I think you can see that in the painting, that it's rather open to interpretation.
Well, it's in person it is striking, and every time I look at it, some new element comes through. In particular, as you brought our attention back to it, Tracy, there's just some gorgeous in this area right here. My big old hand shadow, but coming through of these violet colors that are just hints, just popping through, and it's so beautiful. And then there's these horizontal brush strokes that carry through here. They remind you of fields.
I would like to add that Rebecca
particular.
Hofberger had a question, or was wondering if you knew about the RRE green flash phenomena captured at dawn and sunset. She said she saw it from a plane once in wonderful photographs of it, but and also
I've heard of that. I'm very interested in something like if it's similar to I'm very interested in seeing the Northern Lights. That's something that I would love to see at some point.
She thanked you for your faithfulness to the light and nature and light.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Rebecca, for that comment, and thank you all for your comments. I am looking at them and I appreciate them. I'm just not tech savvy to be able to reply and pay attention at the same time. So I'm erring on caution and just paying attention.
Okay, so we'll move on now. This is Sumptuous Light, 4 inches by 4 inches, and framed, matted, behind glass in a 10-inch by 10-inch format. Oil, gold, bronze pigments on canvas, priced at $380. And very rich display in the foreground of some rich colors of muted, almost dark maroon colors coming through here. And that interplays in the background with some brush, maybe forest. And further back in the background, you see that brilliant sky, that respect, that honoring of the light of the sky that we heard about earlier, and how it just transcends up into the higher clouds. Now, this piece is really special. In this cove space, this is one that just attracts me. Right when you walk into the room, it's just pulling you in, just pulls your eyes in. And you just want to see more. It tells a story. There's a lot of texture here that I'm sure you're probably not seeing through the camera, but just lovely play with the oil and the different pigments and how they have formed little just structures inside the body of the work. Really beautiful. Now, I'll just remind you, if you have any questions, please take yourself off mute and ask Tracy. We've had some good questions so far. We're going to move on here to the next one. This is Silver Moon, Hoopersville, 4 inches by 4 inches in a 10-inch by 10-inch glass framed format. And it is oil, gold, bronze, and silver pigments on canvas, priced at $380. We have the interplay with what looks to be like stones in the foreground. There's some silver playing in here. And that silver is reflecting, of that moon that's muted in the background, covered by clouds. Looks like a full moon. It would be quite stunning in person, but you have it here captured in art, captured in oil forever. There's a beautiful ribbon of blue flowing through the center and just connecting you back to that water, connecting you back to the bay. And this is Silver Moon, Hoopersville.
I don't know if there's anyone here from the other side of the bay, or if anybody who, some of my friends I know have been to Hooper's Island and visited. But Hoopersville in particular, Hooper's Island is a tiny little island. It used to be a string of 3 islands, and now it's only 2. One was washed away in the 1930s during a hurricane. But Hoopersville, driving to Hoopersville is really like going to the ends of the earth. You just feel like you're sort of in the middle of nowhere, and it's a beautiful nowhere. And you go through little periods of where you see water on both sides, and there's a lot of riprap and rocks along the coast, and you kind of come to an end, and it's kind of like a journey to the ends of the earth. Really, it's really fascinating. But this piece is kind of about that, and the kind of the coastline and the rocks. So I just wanted to add that a little background on Hoopersville.
Well, thank you for sharing about that, because I think that helps folks capture the journey, and you do see that the rocks and the riprap, and that's all captured here in this piece.
I just received a note from my husband, Will, that our neighbors, the McPhees, are on. Hi, Todd and Marcia. They're our next door neighbors on Hooper's Island. So they know the area well, as do many of my friends, and Barry and Dee. So hopefully they can relate to some of these works.
I bet they can. Yeah. This is all captured here. So wonderful. Well, welcome. I'm glad they're here. This is Idyllic Day, Hoopersville. Again, 4 inches by 4 inches in a 10-inch by 10-inch frame that's glass. That frame, just as a reminder, and I'll try to come over here so you can see my finger. It's illustrating probably about a half inch to 3/4 of an inch in depth. And this one's ready to go. These are, I like to call these little treasures. They carry such a story. And there's enough of these where, especially these last two that we showed together, form a dialogue with each other. As Tracy was just talking about, just pan back over to that one right there really quick. This reminds me, as you were talking, Tracy, of the journey getting there to Hooper's Island, Hoopersville, and then come back over here to this one. This is like what you might see when you get there. And that's the story that I see when I look at these two. And the story builds with whomever is looking at them. Now, this piece here, Idyllic Day, is rich with a lot of activity. There's a beautiful sky that's intermixed with lovely, rich cream colors popping through, almost as if the clouds are, coming off of burning off from a sunrise, and they're starting to just become more brilliantly white. And that intermixes into the horizon line. And then you have your foreground that comes in and picking up earth tones. Now back up to the horizon line, there's some vertical structuring going on that's reminiscent of a tree line, or maybe even buildings in the far, far distance, farm buildings or just outbuildings. But you don't know. You're just looking, and your imagination is just taking you to wherever you want to go. These are very intimate pieces that can go in a study, in a den, but they can go really anywhere. And especially if grouped with 2, they tell a story, or 3, they tell a story. So we'll move on here. And
Now,
again, if anybody...
Most of these, as Tracy pointed out, were inspired from her time on the island there in Hoopersville. There's a few that aren't, that we'll get to. But her work and her journey to create this process was featured in a multi-page article in the Tidewater Times recently. So if you have an opportunity, I don't know if those that are in the area, Marcia says that your paintings really capture the soul of Hooper's Island, and she loves them. So I hope that if anybody has those left over on the island, those articles, make sure you read them, because it really goes into her process and journey. Well, we're picking up on a lot of those points here too, but it's wonderful to see that in print as well.
Okay.
Thank you,
Now
Marcia.
Working on, moving on here, we're looking at Blackwater Bay. I'm sorry, Blackwater Eve. Again, 4 inches by 4 inches, framed behind glass at 10 inches by 10 inches. This is oil, gold, and bronze pigments on canvas, and it's priced at $380. Coming in close so you can see the detail. And this is really a piece that just evokes a lot of action in the background with these clouds. You can see some really just popping through some structure to the pigments used. And it's highlighted on this side as well over here. Now, again, we got the glare factor going on. And so I apologize for that, but if you came in person, you could see these. And right here in the center up front, in the foreground, we have what kind of appears like it could be a tide pool, or it could just be, a piece of the earth surrounded by flora. The colors that come through, hints of almost like a turquoise color, mauves. And again, this is just a lovely piece with several other of the same size where 2, 3, or 4 together could make a wonderful complement. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on now. And I'll just remind you, if you're interested in a purchase, all you have to do is email us at gallerybluedoor@gmail.com. Or you can, text or go into the chat function of the Zoom platform and contact the gallery director, my husband, Scott, and we can work out the details with that. One other thing I want to remind folks is we have payment plans, no interest payment plans. We just allow people to select what they want, design a payment plan, and we work with you on that. And that way, if you see something, we can work with you, a payment plan. Now I want to take you to this one here. This is Seductive Nightfall. This is 24 inches by 24 inches, oil, gold, and bronze pigments on canvas. This is priced at $4,000. And we're zooming in close here so you can just see the interplay of the rose and mauve colors coming together. There's a lot of structure here with how the oil was used. Gorgeous detail here, evoking the idea of flowers, pops of orange and citrus colors coming through. And there is a blur factor going on where you can just pick up the colors and the hints of shapes, almost as if you're looking at this through a soiled pane glass window and picking up all the brilliant colors on the other side. As we work our way up the piece, we can see some of those bronze and gold pigments coming through, and really a lovely stormy sky just popping through, evoking thoughts of turbulence. Just a gorgeous and powerful painting. And again, here Tracy honoring that light that comes through during the sunset, during the sunrise. In the middle, we have highlights of mauve. And there's this wisp of color here, almost ghost-like coming through. And I think the video is picking it up pretty nicely. This is really a fantastic piece here. Now, this would be a wonderful centerpiece for a den or a living room. And again, it's on a canvas floating. No, it's not floating, but it's on a canvas. And it wraps around the piece. And as you can see by the length of my finger here, it's about 1.5 inches thick or so. And I'll do it on this side so you can see a little bit better. It's about 1.5 inches thick. Now, this would look great independently on its own, but it would also look great in a thin type of frame that's metal and minimalist. It could also look good in a bold frame. Beautiful piece. So let's move on now. We'll move on to Night Glimmer. Again, this is going back down to the smaller format, 4 inches by 4 inches. And it's in a frame that's 10 inches by 10 inches behind glass. This is priced at $380. You can see this striking, lovely texture that happens at the top, the interplay with the different media used. And down at the bottom, you can see the representation of what appears to be iris or flowers, just so well captured. This piece is very enigmatic, just pulls you in and wants you to really just take in and appreciate that detail. Now, the center area where you're looking more at the horizon, there's some deep orange coloring going on. Just can pick it up. It's really beautiful. Over here, just a little tiny fleck of light coming through. Lovely piece.
Scott, I wanted to add that my husband and I, we've planted over the years on Hopers Island many flower beds. And I feel like I sort of insert them into my works kind of randomly. And it's not, it's sort of an unconscious thing. I just love having the flowers around me, but they sort of end up in my paintings, and it sometimes isn't in the places that they would really be, but they just end up in there because I love them. So anyway, I just wanted to insert that.
I'm
That's
glad
all.
that you did. I'm glad that you did, Tracy, because they come through and they're just really lovely to have, but they don't dominate the piece. You get to take in the whole scene, and it's balanced out by the beauty of the sky, the horizon, and all of the possibilities of looking at that. So this is really a beautiful balance here of having those. And I look at that and I think of Iris, and that's one of my favorites. But it's not so dominant to where you don't pick up this beautiful sky.
We definitely have irises, and I'm so looking forward to seeing them very, very soon, in a couple of months.
Excellent. All right, so we're going to move on now. You can take a glimpse at your dad there on the master controls. That's Scott. There he is. He's doing all the behind the scenes work for us. We're going to make our way back to gallery. This is main gallery rear. And we'll continue on our journey looking at all this lovely artwork. Now, this next one here is it's a larger format as well, 26 inches by 26 inches. And the title of this is Blushing Cirrus. This is oil, gold, and bronze pigments on panel. It's priced at $4,500. This is a very active piece. Why don't you just take a look as our cameraman zooms or just pans around it a little bit. A lot of activity in this piece. Just beautiful. Now the texture he's zooming in on, it looks good in the video, but in person, it just pops through. It's gorgeous to see in person. I love texture in paintings. It's not about what I like, but I'll just share with you. I love to see that texture. It's where the artist leaves behind that subliminal signature. They're telling a message. They're telling a story with that texture that they leave. Now this has many wispy, beautiful, bright sunset, sunrise type clouds. You have the common white cirrus cloud. I'll call it the common white cirrus cloud or cumulus cloud there in the background. But here in the foreground, these bold and beautiful, just lovely, lovely, wispy, high altitude clouds pulling in the color of sunset and delivering it to you, putting it in your living room forever, captured on this beautiful piece of art. This is one piece in the gallery that just has lots of activity, just lots of beauty popping out at you. You can see the gold and the bronze coming through, especially in this area right in here. Some really deep mauve colors coming through. And then right down here is just this interplay, very nice interplay with all the pigments coming together and forming just some beautiful structures that help define the baseline or the earth part of this piece. So zoom out so everybody can see it again. This is a gorgeous piece. Now this would look good in a dining room. It would look good in a living room. It's such a warm and welcoming piece. I also think I have a meditation space, and I know some folks have meditation spaces or places where they do their writing or their study, and this would be a great piece for a place for contemplation or reflection. Okay, we'll move on. Now this is Red Tar Bay 1. This is 20 inches by 20 inches. It's oil, gold, and bronze pigments on canvas. It's priced at $3,500. Punchy red color coming through. And while we have a lot of good gallery lighting here, I do notice that, you know, the lighting doesn't highlight the painting on video as well as it does in person. Now, there's a combination here of beautiful billowy clouds that are closer to you and further off in the distance. Those transcend or transform down into a horizon here. And you can see, you can pick up some vertical structures in the background, maybe trees that are dying off. It can even evoke the idea of swampland or that brackish land that happens between salt water and the sea. I'm sorry, salt water and fresh water. You almost get the idea as well that there might be tide pools here in the foreground. There's a transition between a billowy and puffy, powerful sky that transitions down to a more stable and horizontal earth. Really just a beautiful piece with lots of punch coming through with the color. Now, there's two here that look alike. There's Red Tar Bay 1 and Red Tar Bay 2. We'll show you number 2 here in a second. But these two would make a wonderful pair in a bedroom or a den because they complement each other so well. Now, before we move on to show you Tar Bay 2, I want to get back and we'll zoom back here and we'll show you both of them together so you can see what I'm talking about. If we could just put both of them in the shot. And you get kind of an idea, but they're side by side now, but they're a little further apart, but pulled in closer together. And one of these walls, as you can see, is closer to us than the other, but on the same wall, closer together. This would make a matching pair that would really just set a warm beauty to any bedroom, even other rooms in the house, dining room, living room, just a beautiful pair. And I want to come and zoom into Red Tar Bay number 2. This is also 20 inches by 20 inches. It's oil, gold, and bronze pigments on canvas, priced at $3,500. You see that brilliant red coming through, a lot more definition with the background, vertical trees and bush way off in the distance. The clouds are powerful. Just pushing through, telling a story of the sunset. I mean, just brilliant colors. Now, what's nice about this is as it comes down, you have that horizontal, flat land effect, but there's these rich, deep forest greens coming through that transcend and blend in with mauve and just intermix with that pigment, making some really unique textures here. I could see this above a bed in a bedroom as the centerpiece of the bedroom. It evokes just that feeling of peace and calm. And the palette used here is just so brilliant, just bringing out the rich colors of nature. A lot of imagination is in this one, Tracy. I think these two are just lovely, and I think would make a beautiful centerpiece for someone's bedroom or someone's study. Just a lovely, lovely pair. And of course,
thank you, Scott.
Oh, you're welcome.
And
I want to make
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just want to make sure I keep saying pair. That does not mean they have to be bought together. That's just me if I won the lottery. But I will tell people that, they're individually ready to go or they're in a pair ready to go. And I want to also throw a note in there that Red Tar Bay 1, it was featured in the November 2020 Perfect Picture special section of Vanity Fair's edition of, the United Kingdom's edition of Vanity Fair. So so this one here has a legacy to it already. This is Red Tar Bay 1, and it was featured in the November 2020 edition of Vanity Fair in the United Kingdom in the Perfect Picture section. So for whatever collector collects this one, there's already even more of a story behind it. And Tracy, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I stepped on top of you. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
No, you didn't at all. Thank you. I just wanted to say those two particular pieces, for me, really do encapsulate Tarbay and an area that Marcia and Todd know of Barren Island. That one that you have spotlighted now is Barren Island is this tiny little island that that is used to be inhabited, but is no longer, and except for by herons. And it's our view basically. And it really is a very stunning, especially when the herons are nesting, and when you can see them in abundance. I certainly have not been able to capture that. I have photographs, but it's really quite a scene. And the colors in these, and maybe just my computer screen, but they're definitely on my screen very bright, and the colors are bold, but they're not quite as neon or as condensed as what I'm seeing on my screen, and maybe different on other people's screens. But I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an important point too, because they are not a neon at all. They are really inviting and just beautiful, rich colors. And again, I think bold is a good way to describe them. But I'm so glad you pointed out that this is that I love herons. I love birds generally. So to know that this is a haven for them, they're all hanging out there.
It's absolutely haven.
Yeah.
And Adam Stanlin offered an interesting question about sort of the emotional state of when I paint, and if that affects my work, and it definitely does. I was particularly, I don't know, these are very red paintings, and I was really thinking about the fires out west, and we've had so many wildfires in 2020 and recently, and they were so devastating. And I was thinking to myself, I listened to WIPR, I listened to the radio sometimes in my studio, and I thought, gosh, what if that happened to this tiny little island of only around 500 residents? It would be devastating. And I think that was just in my subconscious when I was painting these, because why else would I paint something so red? So definitely my emotional state affects what I paint, always, because as I said, I paint from my imagination. So anyway, I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
I'm glad that you did, and I that's one of the other horrible things of 2020. And if it populated a little bit of the thought of how you put these together, then at least a tiny piece of good came out of that horrible atrocity with the fires. But the colors here, don't bring a memory of that. The colors are just so powerful and inviting and just pull you in. And again, I invite folks to come to the gallery. We're having in-person appointments. We're doing everything safe with social distancing and masks and all that stuff. And but you can see them for yourself in person, and just so brilliant. Okay, so we'll now move on to Luminous Eventide 2. This is 36 inches by 36 inches. Now, this is from 2019. It's oil, gold, and bronze pigments on canvas, and it's priced at $6,500. So we'll get a good stand back, pan out shot for you so you can pick up all the brilliance of the colors. Again, at the top of this piece, we have this the sky that's chaotic, but there's order. And there's beauty just evoking through all of these colors. We're going to get in close so you can see them, and you can pick up on the textures as well. And just look at the texture. Look at the colors that come through. There's some deep greens. But then we have these blues that come through, and they blend with yellows and blend with the pigment and just really create a striking effect. As we come down to the, what I would perceive ground level, you see some really bold black colors coming, almost like coal colors coming through. And did it rain that day? It makes you wonder, because there's a reflection here, almost as if there's some standing water reflecting some of this bold sky above. And you think, well, maybe it is, because there's this line that you see coming through, and it gives you the impression that there is a storm coming on, and you're just safely tucked away observing this storm. It's a lot of action that's coming through this. And you might let your eye rest on one area, but then you want to go and explore another. And as you stand back, you wonder to yourself, are you looking at the land, or are you on a boat and you're just seeing a wavy surface of the bay during a storm? So much story going on in this piece. And it's your story, whatever you want it to be.
Now, Scott, I'd like to invite Rebecca Hoffberger to unmute herself and tell the group what she has mentioned to me.
I
Please.
just, as a kid, I remember I got to meet Frederick Hundertwasser in person and was just so smitten by him. And I think that the same time at the Phillips, I found a book by Emil Nolde. And I just love that book. And when I look at Tracy's work, it's the delicious sky and the delicious foreground of landscape. It's just... it's really just a joy to watch all her colors. Because I don't know what years were you at MICA?
I was at MICA in the late 80s, and then I came back again to get my master's degree. I got my master's at the Mount Royal School of Art. If there are any Mount Royal alums, hello, shout out. So that actually was later in life. I spent 10 years in Manhattan and a year of time in Los Angeles. So I came back to graduate school later in life. And I noticed that you posted a question about my childhood.
Yeah.
That's very interesting that you asked that, because I feel like my artwork really, I draw on a spirit of freedom from my childhood. I was born in Baltimore, but I grew up in Howard County and Baltimore, and we had a farm. And it was really a place where we couldn't see any of our neighbors. We had a lot of fields and forests, basically. So I was really, we just kind of ran free, and there was just that feeling of freedom that that you have when you're a child. And I think I draw on that for my work, and that's one of the things that attracted my husband and I to Hooper's Island. It's an island that is probably it's just very small, and it's very remote and very unpretentious, and so you feel very free there, and I connect with that feeling in my work. So anyway, I hope that answers your question a little bit.
One more. What if you go back to your childhood? What was the most beautiful thing you ever saw or experienced?
Oh gosh, that's an interesting question. It's a very interesting question. I don't know, but I think I was also very influenced by my mother, who, when we would drive places, my mother just would be mesmerized by sunsets or sunrises, or driving over the mountains to Hagerstown to visit my grandmother and my grandfather. And she would gasp at these beautiful scenes. And, we were kids, and we thought, oh, Mom, what's that about? But I think I absorbed it, and I looked around and I noticed what she thought was breathtaking. And
Wow, you
I
really
took it in.
honored that which was so precious to her. It's wonderful to hear.
Absolutely. I think it's sunk in. You know, when you're a kid, you don't really appreciate those things. But later in life, I see, wow, okay,
Thank
I get it.
wonderful answer.
Well, thank you for the questions and thank you for the answers. It's kind of nice to know the story behind the artist and where Tracy gets her inspiration is. I know you like to travel. I know you like to read. We're going to see some of your work later on in the exhibition where you went to Hawaii, and there's some amazing pieces here to come soon. We're going back to the 4" by 4" format. This is Mystical Marshland. Again, in a 10" by 10" frame, glass on the front. There's a lot of depth and beauty in this piece here with some really this piece. You got to come in and see it. It's just so cute, but it just pulls you in. I say cute because there's so much going on inside. Flowers in the foreground. In the background, could it be a field? Maybe it's a body of water, a pond. Further off, almost more of that horizon, the shoreline. And I do like the way the camera is picking up the detail here, probably because our lighting is better. And then going up into that sky, just intermixed with so much different texture and colors. And speaking of texture, there's some pop outs coming through here where the media was, put on heavy and really gave this piece a lot of texture, telling a story and letting you just glimpse this scene through the artist's imagination. Just a really beautiful piece. I like the way that's coming through the video. Now, this part of the gallery, we're in the long green hallway, and it's just really recently been retrofitted with new lighting. So I think the lighting is going to be even better. All the ones that you saw before, and the lighting is even more rich in this part. And so seeing them in person, if you have some interest in these, just please let us know and we'll set you up a private tour where you can see them in person. So we'll move on here to the next one. This is Magical Evening, 4" by 4" in a 10" by 10" frame. These little treasures, as I like to call them, that's probably not their official name, but I just think they're treasures, and they're smaller, intimate pieces that pull you in. These are all priced at $380. And again, we see a lot going on here. Now, with this piece, there are just these white silhouettes in the foreground that remind you of maybe this is animal life, or maybe it's an outcropping of rocks. You don't know, but your imagination lets you just fill in the gaps. And we have this cloud cover that fades off into the distance. A lot of depth here with a foreground of cloud cover that just sinks back into the canvas and takes your eye deep within it.
Tracy, I invite you to answer this question from Adam, who he asked a little while ago, but it resonates with a lot of your pieces that he notices a lot of cool and deep tones that contrast with shiny and warm colors, specifically golds and things like that. And he's wondering if you could speak to your motivation behind your choice in contrasting these deep and dark cooler tones with bright colors. Are they observations of nature or your emotional state at the time of creation?
I think they're more my emotional state, because my paintings change so rapidly. I really don't I don't really know that they're finished until until I have some sense of satisfaction, until I can look at them and be satisfied. But yes, I think it does speak to my emotional state, and 2020 in particular was such a turbulent and challenging year for all of us, I think. And I unfortunately many times would listen to the radio in my studio. So sometimes I would just be in my studio, tearing up over what I'd be hearing. So I think that really did affect my palette choices. What was I about to say? Yes, I think it definitely affected my palette choices. And I'm also very sort of just an improvisational painter. I'll put colors on my palette and then I'll choose them. You know, if I just choose them, I don't plan ahead that way.
Well, we
like many
very much
painters do.
appreciate the way that you use your intuitions to combine things that feel natural to you.
Thank you. That's a good way to put it. Yes, intuitive.
Yes.
Okay, so we're moving on here, and thank you. And that improvisational piece comes through. This is Devil May Care Clouds, 5 inches by 7 inches, and it's framed to 11 inches by 14. This is oil, gold, and bronze pigments on canvas, and it's priced at $550. Now, why don't you just kind of let your eyes just really savor the beauty of this. We have this bold, puffy cloud in the foreground that connects to this much larger rain cloud, and you can just see the rain coming down. This is way off in the distance. It's almost like you're in your private cabin, your safe place, and you see the rain coming, but it's far enough, you know it's not going to bother you. Here in the foreground, you have the ground with different play and color of clay tones and shale tones. And the camera is picking up. I love how the texture is coming through, and you can see the interplay between the canvas and the media. The orange is really just lovely, how it just shines through, how it pops through. Now this, I wanted to just show you again. It's roughly just about maybe a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch thick frame. It's ready to go. It's a nice black frame that sets the piece off with the white matting, and then it's floating on top of a black mat, which I think really helps set it off as well and makes the piece highlighted. It really gives it a nice highlight. Again, this is Devil May Care Clouds. And we'll move on. And again, if you have any interest in a piece and you want to make a purchase, please just contact us at gallerybluedoor@gmail.com. You can also contact my husband, Scott, the director of the gallery, and he can take your information and help you with making a purchase. We have purchase plans as well, payment plans with no interest, so you can purchase it over time. Now this is Aubergine Dusk 1, 4 inches by 4 inches. In a 10 inch by 10 inch frame under glass. And this is oil on canvas. You can see the texture of that canvas. I'm sorry, the texture of that oil paint. And see how all of these colors just interplay and form a medley of just beauty coming through. Now, what's captivating about this piece is there in the center, your eye just gets pulled into the center of this part right in the middle where this blue just kind of pops out, almost as if you're looking over the horizon. And way off in the distance is some blue sky just popping through. This is gorgeous piece. Very lovely. Okay, we'll move on to this is Aubergine Dusk 2, again 4 inches by 4 inches, 10 inches by 10 inches under glass, priced at $380. Again, oil on canvas. These two together are ones that would really make a lovely pair. Just take in the color. Notice the texture. Some really brilliant orange coming through, fading off into a pinkish, like like a dusty rose background at the top part of the piece. Now in the background, you can see there's like some really lovely play with rich chocolate tone of color here. It almost makes you feel as if you're looking and you see a hill in the background. But again, your imagination takes you where you want to go here. Lovely piece. And we'll move on to the next one in this series. We're going down the green hallway here of Gallery Blue Door. If you were here, you'd be able to see the richness of these in person, but we have stills, really high quality digital images of all of these online at the website, gallerybluedoor.com. Now this is Restless River, again, 4 inches by 4 inches. The work is floating on a black mat. The frame itself is 10 inches by 10 inches. And as you can see, again, I'll just put my finger up here so you can see that it's roughly about a, oh goodness, I'm messing it all up. But the frame is about a 1/2 inch by maybe a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch thick. So it's a nice profile that supports this piece and shapes it really well. Now, as we pull in deep to the interior of this, lots of texture, and there's a lot of play going on with the color here. There's a background rose color wanting to come through, muted yellows that are very bright, almost like a mustard color that's just popping through. As you make your way down toward the bottom, just really rich emerald colors. And we're trying to get it to where it would focus. Yeah, it's wanting to focus on the glass. So we'll back up just a little bit. But yeah, there you go. So you can see some really rich detail. This is a gorgeous piece because there's so much interplay of color and beauty. This is Restless River. Okay, so we'll move on to the next piece here. And this is Tangerine Horizon, 4 inches by 4 inches. And again, in that 10 inch by 10 inch frame under glass, priced at $380. This is oil on canvas. And Tangerine really is true coming through here, the center with this lovely stripe, this ribbon of tangerine that fades up into a beautiful night sky. Bring your eye to this rich, deep, just this rich navy blue, forest green color here, just transitions into this lovely, lovely ribbon in the upper part of the piece. Now, as we come down a little bit lower, this might be some of that riprap, the shoreline with the stones and how the water may be coming in that Tracy talked to us about earlier. And off in the distance, we have what appears to be some trees and shrubbery. Now, I know my pointer is getting very close to the glass. I don't touch the art at all, but I like to point out where I'm seeing some really intimate and beautiful details that I want to bring your eyes toward. Tangerine Horizon. And we'll move on again to this next piece. And this is that larger format of 5 inches by 7 inches framed into an 11 inch by 14 inch format. This is oil and gold bronze pigments on canvas, and it's priced at $550. This is Prismatic Vista. Prismatic Vista. And we talked about some bold red colors earlier, and we kind of see that here, but they're a little bit more muted. And they're blended well with this foreground. It has notes of rose and just a mix of almost baby blue and mauve all coming together, almost as if you're seeing a wildflower bed way off in the distance. Now the sky here has some really striking high altitude clouds. And way off in the distance, you have little, what appears to be like a hill way off in the distance. It's a beautiful piece, a little bit larger than the other smaller ones that I like to call the little treasures. This is a nice piece that would be great in a den or a study. Yes. Okay, I'm going to stay on this one a little bit. I think someone is communicating with my husband and they want to see it a little bit longer. Now, what's also nice about this piece is you have this ribbon of silver that's off in the distance, just kind of reminding you of maybe some structural element that's in the geology. Really just pulls you in. We have up here in the foreground, that's going all across the bottom of the piece, some green that reminds you of maybe just some grass, some wild grass that's just, it's there in the foreground, just little, just patches of grass that are growing on their own.
Scott, I wanted to interject that sometimes the sky is just so intense and the colors are so vivid that it's just an otherworldly experience seeing the view from Hooper's Island over the Chesapeake Bay. And I think that this small painting encapsulates that a little bit in the otherworldly quality. You can't really, you see these colors, but they're sort of unbelievable. And so anyway, that's sort of with that one in particular. I think I was thinking about that a little bit.
Well, and I think that comes through. And you use the words otherworldly, and I see that, but I think we've all seen this at some point in our life, and the way you've captured it and pulled the palette down. It's really just striking how you've pulled it all back. Now we're going to move back here to Tangerine Horizon. We have a request to look at this one again, and you can do that. You all have the power to tell me where to go in a nice way, though. So we're going back here to Tangerine Horizon, and again, it's on the 4" by 4" piece of art that's framed out to 10 by 10, and it's priced at $380. This is oil on canvas. Now, if you are interested in this painting, it is gorgeous. I'm just going to tell you, of course, I'm a little biased because I love all of Tracy's work, but this section here with this striking, gorgeous, really deep green ribbon going through the sky is just really beautiful. Up at the top is a little bit of a wispy cloud, just kind of taking on that familiar white wispiness that we see occasionally in her work, where she highlights the extraordinary sunsets and sunrises and the otherworldly effects, but she also leaves in those regular old white clouds that we see. And here, just little structures way off in the distance. Maybe this brush, maybe little trees. And that's Tangerine Horizon. So we'll move on. We're going to move on past it. Yes. Okay. We're going to go back to the one. Yeah, that's okay. Tell me where to go. And this is Restless River. We visited this one just a moment ago, but this is truly a gorgeous one as well. We'll get in close so you can see it. Down at the base there, you see a lot of interplay between just the different palettes of green intermixing with colors of shale and coal, really just bring out a breathtaking texture. This one's floating on a black mat, surrounded by a double white mat. Frame is about, I would say, 1 inch wide, and the profile of the frame is about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch wide. So it's a nice, and I'll put my finger here so that you can see the depth of that frame. So it's ready to go. It's ready to be hung. And then go ahead and get the front of it too. I'm going to put my finger here close to the front just so you can see the width of it. So it's about 2 fingers wide. It's a nice width that supports the piece very well and highlights the integrity of the art and the beauty of the work. Okay. Excuse me. So we'll move on. And we'll go down to this one right here. Now this is Sailor's Delight, 4 inches by 4 inches, framed out to 10 by 10. And this is oil and gold and bronze pigments on canvas, priced at $380. You can really see that gold pigment coming through, just creating the idea, the illusion of maybe a sandy beach right here, and some black use of the pigment here, creating just maybe the effect of some riprap or some rocks. Now, a nice detail here is how the gold has interplayed with the sky and the clouds. And you can just see some really interesting textures coming through. This is Sailor's Delight. As we get to the base of the piece, just some lovely rich earth tones coming through, browns mixed in with just some shale colors, coal, very grounded effect. Okay, we'll move on to the next one here. And this is Carnelian Sky, 4 inches by 4 inches, framed out to 10 by 10. This is oil, gold, and bronze pigments on canvas, priced at $380. This is a little jewel. You know, I call them little treasures. I call this a little jewel just because the color is just so beautiful. Just pulls you in. Here again, we have that effect of flowers in the foreground. I think again, reminiscent of irises. And I'll just to remind folks that if you're not muted, please mute yourself, because we want to preserve the integrity of our recording for those that are going to be watching it later. We will be recording this. We're recording it now. We'll be posting it on the website later at gallerybluedoor.com. So you can, if you have to leave, I hope you don't, you can pick up where you left off. Sorry about the glare, but in person, the color is striking. We go from a very rich red that goes and becomes even more depth of red right here, but then transitions into the horizon, picking up a lot of different lovely tones along the way with like a deep, rich gold mustard tone in the background, transitioning into the land. This is a beautiful piece, so much going on. And in the foreground, some dark shapes that make you feel, well, is this a structure, or is it an animal? It could be an animal. You know, your imagination just plays with it. If you see it right there, yeah. Just beautiful how it pops out at you. Now we're going to be transitioning into the blue room. This is the final space, or the last space of the gallery. And start over here. Now this is the series I mentioned earlier that Tracy likes to travel. And this is from her her trip to Kauai. And this is a series, Kauai 1, 2, and 3. Why don't we go ahead and back up and we'll get all 3 of them in the frame for you. And as you can see, they're on a blue painted wall. It's a very light blue in color to help just set the art off differently. Gallery Blue Door does it a little differently. We don't have white walls. We consulted with one of the leading architects in the country and paint experts in the country, and they suggested we don't use white. We go unconventional and use colors that would appear in people's homes. And that really carries through at Tracy's work here, this study of these 3 that are reminiscent of your trip to Hawaii. And I want to turn it over to you because now these are a little contrasting from the ones we saw in the other spaces of the gallery, but just beautiful how the tones, the colors come through, the purples, the yellow, the mustards, and the emeralds. But I want to start over here with the first one, Kauai 1. And then I want you to tell the story behind these, Tracy, because they're just amazingly beautiful. These are all from 2019, oil on canvas, 12 inches by 12 inches, and they're priced at $950.
My girlfriend Jackie invited me to go to Kauai. Her aunt lives there, and her aunt had to come into. Well, she needed somebody to pet sit. So Jackie's been to Kauai a few times, and so she asked Jackie to come and watch her pets. And Jackie invited me along, and I had never been to Hawaii before, so. I had always wanted to go, and this was in 2019. So the feeling was very different than 2020. And I think the lightness of these paintings is reflected in that. I was mesmerized by Kauai. It's one of the smaller islands and less touristy. And I loved it. So I think these reflect the lightness there and the sort of the mood that I was in. And I don't know that they necessarily reflect anywhere specific, but more so my feeling when I was there with her.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And, your vacation and your opportunity to go and pet sit with a friend turned into joy for us.
It was really, it was, and Margaret, I don't know if Margaret's on this at the reception, but her home was just stunning, and her views just from her yard were wonderful in and of themselves.
And yes, I would have to say it was a fabulous trip. And Tracy, and I love the colors, how you captured Kauai. It's beautiful. They're beautiful.
Thank you, Jackie. I know. I really want to go back. We need a group trip.
Yes, we do. That would be awesome.
Definitely. Thank you.
So with this one here, you see a lot of interplays with different, we have some beautiful purple coming through here and some very distinctive markings along the way. And then how the blue and turquoise kind of blend together in this area. Just a really beautiful piece. Here, you almost see the water of the ocean and how it might be hitting the sand and making like a little wave or a surf there. And then all that transitions into just a bright and beautiful, 2019, a lot more optimistic than what we had in 2020 sky. And just so beautiful how you captured all of this. Now, these all are canvas. And if you just zoom in over here, you'll see that they're about, again, 2 inches thick. They're ready to go. They could be framed up with a nice metallic minimalist type of frame around them, or something bold and dark. But they're ready to go as is, and quite beautiful as a set. We're moving on now to Kauai 2. Again, it's 12 inches by 12 inches oil on canvas and priced at $950. And whereas the other 2 accompanying works have more of a horizontal orientation, this one almost there is a horizontal element going on, but there's a lot of action around it to where it just feels much more just pulling you in, almost inviting you in, almost as if you've gazed up at the clouds. And it's really hard to describe, just such a beautiful piece, just pulling you in. And I love the interplay here with the sky and how the clouds become so bold. There's a hint of purple, very, very, very light purple in the background there, just capturing how the light dances on the clouds. And then there's some shaping going on here, very bold shaping that helps define that cloud character in the background. This is a beautiful piece. Now, let's go ahead and back up just a little bit, Tyler, so everybody can see the three of these together, and you'll see what I'm talking about, that horizontal effect with either one on each side that continues to the one in the middle, but there's almost like a glimpse up to the clouds at the same time, really just pulling you into the beauty of those clouds. So we'll go back over here to, this is Kauai 3. All of these, this series from 2019, and all of them oil on canvas, priced at $9.50 each. There's a much bolder defining line here in the middle with the rich brown coming through, almost like a very deep maroon color coming through. And that just transitions up into a long distance sky. And I really love the way the camera is capturing all of this and just continues to transition up to higher altitude clouds that just tell a story of beauty. Now, one of the things here about this piece that I like is just this little piece of yellow just coming through right here. Just really lovely how it pops through and catches your eye. We'll back up and let you see all three of them together again. And again, this would be a wonderful series. This could work well in a bedroom. This could work well in a nursery, just because the colors are just so invitational, pulling you in, so soothing. I talked about a meditation space earlier. This would make a great porch or a triplet series for a meditation space. Just so beautiful. Okay, so this is it. This is all the pieces in the exhibit. What we're going to do now is we're going to make our way back up to the main gallery, and we'll just walk through what you've seen so far. And along the way, if you would like us to stop and take a look at a piece and zoom in on it, please just yell out, tell me where to go. And I will just walk back up slowly, and we'll just spend time perusing. I want to just thank everybody for coming out today and looking at these lovely pieces. And I'll remind you, they're gorgeous in person. So we are allowing folks to come and see them. We're abiding by all safety protocols. You can have a private tour anytime you want. Just reach out to us at gallerybluedoor@gmail.com. And we'll let you, we'll set you up and let you come see them in person. Now, I want to just take a moment. We're going to walk down, and let's see here. We'll just kind of walk slowly and let you look at each one, kind of slowly. Take a look at them. There's also digital images of all of these. You can see them all online at gallerybluedoor.com. I want to stop here for just a moment at Tangerine Horizon and congratulate the collector who is taking this home. It's so nice to know that someone is going to be taking this home and it's going to be part of your private collection. So congratulations. This one is going home with somebody. You're going to be really happy when you see it. I can just tell you, you know, this piece will look great in a study, an office. It's intimate. It pulls you in. There's so much detail going on. So congratulations. I'm very happy for you. This is a beautiful piece. It's nice to know that when an artist puts their passion, love, their craft all down for us to take and to admire and to really enjoy forever, for eternity, pass it on to kids. It's just it's a collection or a collector's item, and it goes into a collection and gives people joy forever. We'll continue to make our way This is the gallery green hall, as we call it. This larger format piece here. I love these bold clouds on that orange, striking orange background. We'll just continue walking, making our way up to the front of the gallery. And again, if you have anything you want to stop off and take a look at, get zoomed in closer to, we'll do that for you. Very good, and we'll continue. And now we're going to go into the, and there's the green hallway. You can go ahead and just pan and let everybody see. If you were here in person, you'd be walking down here in the blue room all the way in the back. That's where we'd have our food and drink station. And unfortunately, we can't do that now, but hopefully soon we'll walk in here to the main gallery rear. Take a look at this one again. Beautiful brushwork here. The play with color, just amazing, just amazing. And again, if you're interested in a purchase, all you have to do is email us at gallerybluedoor@gmail.com. Or you can contact my husband, the director. His name is Scott, through the Zoom chat function. We can just help you secure one of these for your collection. I mean, this is just amazing body of work. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, we have payment plans. A lot of galleries don't do that. We do it because we realize people, want a piece, and we want to make it accessible to everybody.
It can be anywhere from $50 a month to
Yeah.
$500 a month.
Yeah. My husband, the salesman in the background, he's like throwing out numbers. It can be as low as $50 a month or $500 a month. It could be whatever you want. We work with you. Okay, we're going here to the cove area. Whoops. Our gimbal gets away from us at times. It's one of those. And we're just making our way up to the front of the gallery, main gallery. And if you have any questions along the way, just tell us and we'll stop. We'll zoom in for you, let you see some of the work. Making our way, we're in the cove room now. You can see it has a gray background, was painted intentionally this color because it's a little darker, but it helps set the art off really well. And again, I'll remind you that at the gallerybluedoor.com website, you can go on and look at all the digital images of these. We have digital images of all of them, and it helps really capture the beauty of them when we take these really high quality digital images of them. We'll post them online so that you can go and see them there. There we go, and just making our way up. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. I want to thank the cameraman, who is our son, Tyler, and he's doing a fantastic job. And but I also want to thank Tracy, because this body of work is just amazing. It's just really beautiful.
Scott, thank you for doing such a wonderful job of hosting.
Oh.
You're not only a dashing host, you really describe the works well, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the comments that people have made. Like I said, I'm afraid of turning off my camera or my screen by replying to anybody, so I haven't tried to reply, but I appreciate all the wonderful comments that have come in, and I truly want to thank everybody for coming out. Especially my friends that are on different time zones,
Right.
And all of my hometown Baltimore friends and MICA friends, and shout out to my friends in Long Island and my relatives in California and friends in Virginia and Myrtle Beach, and Portugal, of course, Portugal. And so I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I really appreciate the support, and I hope you all can come in and see the show in person.
We've had the sun is starting to set on us here, or not set, but it's at the front of the gallery now. So it gives you even more of an excuse to come in and see these in person. And, you know, it's funny because Baltimore, as you know, Tracy, we've had gray days forever, and that would have been perfect filming weather. And then we have these beautiful sunny days, which I love.
Of course.
But it washes out the main gallery space now. But, you know, it's still the brilliance of these pieces, the color, it comes through and really is gorgeous. Okay, so this is the last piece here. I just want to invite anybody, if you would like us to go back and take a look at any piece, we can do that for you. And of course, we're always open for emails. We're always open for you know, people to contact us offline if they have interest in either setting up a private tour or learning about a payment plan or what have you. Excellent. All right. So if no one has any questions, we're just going to go ahead and get ready. And I just want to thank everybody again, just like Tracy did, and say thank you all for coming out today to the gallery and being with us virtually. You know, we have 6 shows a year, and Tracy's been with us before, and her first show was just fantastic. And like I said at the beginning, we were able to do this in person. It was nice, and we had wonderful food and wonderful people and drinks and such a lovely time. And this is not bad because you get to sit in your chair and have whatever drink you want. But you know, it beats not having it at all. So we're so happy that you all came out today, and we're so happy for the work that you've produced. Again, beautiful body of work, Tracy, and it was wonderful being able to look through it all and spend such time with it and tell you all about it. Now I'll go ahead and just conclude with some ideas that if you are interested, please, in any piece, please reach out to us at gallerybluedoor@gmail.com. I'll remind you that we have payment plans. As my husband, the salesman, the director of the gallery said, we would go as low as $50 a month.
We
And
could go lower.
yeah, we can do whatever you want, because what we want is we want accessibility. We want you to have the piece. We work with you on that. So, okay, and
It's a way
let's.
to get art that you love into the
Yeah.
home of all budgets.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so does anybody have any last questions before we conclude our show today?
Okay. Well, we will go silent for the next 10 minutes. And if anybody needs to private message me or ask Tracy anything, feel free to do so.
Thank you again, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Take care. Be well.